Welcome to another edition of Positive Vibes, making positivity and gratitude louder in a podcast world. And I'm just this week I made the announcement earlier on my Instagram and Facebook that I was not going to be my show was not going to be on Facebook Live this week, but the station manager walked in at the last minute and Christian helped me out, and here I am. So now it's going to be on my Facebook Live too, I guess. Um, yeah, just announcing that. Anyway, this week I am not going to be. My guest was unable to. We were unable to connect today at this time, so we both had the time the other day and recorded Zoom. We did a Zoom call and got that recorded. And so today I'm going to be playing that for you. And the call I was on a Zoom call with Justin Shank, who is the founder and host of the Growth Now Movement podcast. And I don't know, I'd go on describing it, but yeah, he's just an amazing guy, and he's got an amazing podcast and does amazing stuff. So I'd go on describing give him an introduction, but I would just be repeating what's already in the video. So on that note, I will just play it for you. And here we go. All right. Well, welcome to Positive Vibes, making positivity and gratitude louder in a podcast world. And on this week's episode of Positive Vibes, I have Justin Schenck, the founder and host of the Growth Now Movement podcast. And he is the one who I got connected with on Instagram to begin with a couple years ago. And he introduced me to podcasting. And like right after I met him on Instagram, I started my podcast, and now it's morphed into me doing my podcast at the radio station. So yeah, here we go, an interview with Justin Shank. Good afternoon, Justin, or good morning, whatever time it is there.
I know, right? So Shane, how are you, man? It's been quite the journey, man, and it's unbelievable that it was a couple years ago. How time flies, and here we are, man. I'm honored that you invited me on the show.
Yeah, it was actually, I was looking, it came up on my memories earlier, and it was like April something 2018.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, was it that long ago? But I guess it was, if that's what Instagram says. But yeah, it's just like, you know, following you, watching your podcasts and everything. And then, of course, following Gary Vee and him saying, get into podcasting if you can, and use the Anchor app, which I started on. And now here I'm at the radio station, so I don't need the Anchor app anymore. But, soon I'm going to be getting back into that. But yeah, anyway, I'm just glad to have you on my show. And actually, you put up a post the other day saying something about um, people always people are always bugging you to get on yours podcast. And I'm like, it instantly clicked in my head something Gary Vee said about, hey, don't, something about not worrying so much about getting value from people, but more giving value to people. And so I wanted to give you value and put you on my podcast.
Yeah, man, I'm honored, and obviously that's the approach that I teach my clients. I talk about that very often. Is to give without expectations, and that's really the hardest thing for most people. Is that they're always worried about themselves. They're worried about the next paycheck, the next opportunity, the next whatever. Instead of going, how can I add value to other people's lives? And the trick is, if you add value to other people's lives, those individuals or somebody inside this entire universe is going to go, how do I add value to this person's life or to your life in general? And that's really kind of been how I've been able to grow my podcast, how I've been able to make the connections I have, how I've been able to make the friends that I have. and so on and so forth. And so I approach every single potential relationship I have in my life with, let me know how I can support you. And that's how I've built everything, the podcast, the business, and everything else in between, man.
Yeah, right on, right on. Yeah, and getting back to the title of your podcast, the Growth Now movement. How did that come about, and what exactly does? I mean, I'm pretty sure I know, but just for everyone else, what exactly does the Growth Now movement podcast stand for, and where is it going?
Yeah, man. I think for me, it's been I've been podcasting for 4.5 years. I just passed 350 episodes, and for me, it's been a journey of growth, and it's the understanding that the destination doesn't really matter. What matters are making small incremental wins every single day towards whatever life you or destiny you want to leave behind, right, or legacy you want to leave behind, I should say. And when I look at the last 4.5 years and kind of where I am now, between the Inc. magazine listing me as a top 8 podcast to follow, I've been on, featured on Thrive Global, on some of the biggest podcasts in the world, and all these other things, I realize it's because the compound effect of me focusing on growing 1% every single day. We see these people we admire, the Gary V's of the world, Lewis Howes, all these people who have done big things in the world. We go, how do I get there? And then it seems so daunting a task, right? It seems so far away from where we are, that we almost give up before we even start. But if we can find a way to focus on today, making an impact today, growing 1% today, and how do I get closer to that big goal? That's all that matters. Because look, here's the thing, and I say this quite often. Like, if your goal is to make $1 million in your life, great. I applaud you, and I hope that you do. But what I guarantee you is that once you get to that $1 million or that goal that you set for yourself, you're then going to go, okay, how do I make 10 million? The satisfaction is not in the goal. The satisfaction is in the journey, right? Mm-hmm. And so I've really kind of focused on growing in what I consider the 4 pillars of my life. My business and financially is one of the pillars, relationships, wellness, and spirituality. And really, that's kind of the 4 pillars that my podcast is focused on over the last 4.5 years. And that's kind of what I teach clients now, is to focus on these 4 pillars in your life in order to sustain the life that you want. Number one, to sustain happiness, to keep stress low, and to fulfill your life with whatever it is you want to fulfill it with.
Yeah, right on. Well, yeah, it's like looking back, what was it, almost 4.5 years ago now. My book was published August 15th, 2016. I wrote and self-published my autobiography, and it's like I was following Brendan Burchard, and he inspired me to write my own manifesto after reading the Motivation Manifesto. And so I wrote my autobiography, and I was gonna, be a big time author and, make $1 million and all that stuff. Well, maybe not 1 million, but I was gonna rise up out of the dish pit, and but that didn't happen, and I'm still in the dish pit. And but I mean, hey, it beats the garbage dump, I guess. But
no, right?
It's a lot cleaner job anyway. But it's like that didn't happen, and I'm so glad that didn't happen in a way, because it's like the journey, as you were talking about, the journey has just been phenomenal, amazing. The people I've met, people I've talked to, you included, it's like getting to meet Gary Vee and him flying me to New York for the day to VaynerMedia. It's like, wow, just what a journey. But and it's just getting out there, and like we talked about earlier, giving value, not necessarily getting the value. Right now where I'm sitting now, it's like that $1 million is like, okay, so what would that really do? I would have the money to be able to spend the money, but then I would still be here. It's like,
look, let me say this. Having money isn't a bad thing. It's actually a really good thing. And I encourage many people to fill their cup, right? But here's the thing. We have to make sure we're taking care of ourselves first, and then the rest we give. We come from a place of service, but we can't pour from an empty cup, right? And so what you need to do, if you feel like you're in the dish pit — by the way, I've never heard that term until this conversation — but if you feel like you're in the dish pit, I want you to sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and go, what can I do today to take one step closer to getting myself out of the place that I'm in, the dish pit or wherever, right? That's all you have to focus on. Because we get so consumed with this big grandiose idea of what we want to become. Like you said, write the book, make millions of dollars, reach millions of people, whatever the goal was. Right, we get so consumed by that those incremental wins don't mean anything, and so we stay stagnant in where we are. So let's focus on that 1% step we can take today. The one step, that's it. And then you're going to, over time, you're going to see the compound effect of focusing on those small incremental wins. Now, do I win every day? No. There are days where I'm like, crap, I probably took 3 steps back, like because I didn't get that thing done. I yelled at my girlfriend because we got in an argument. I didn't return the phone call I was supposed to return. Whatever, right? I lost a client. Whatever the case may be. I don't win every day, but again, over time, the compound effect of the wins makes sure I win every single time. Me and David Meltzer had a great conversation about this on his podcast, and we talked about the compound effect of those small incremental wins. So again, I know that, and it's so hard to talk in broad terms, but to everybody listening right now, like, what's the one thing you can do right now to create one thing of momentum in the right direction today? And that's all you have to figure out. And then all of a sudden, a year from now, you're going to look back and go, holy crap, like that dish pit is far away from me right now. And I've made massive steps forward because of that. Look, there's 365 days in a year. So you can do the math maybe of how much you can grow in a year, and it becomes exponential over time.
Yeah. Well, the term that I used, in the dish pit, that's where I work, in the dish pit at the restaurant, washing dishes. But and it's like it, but that was what I was that was what was on my mind as the next thing I was going to say was um, just doing a little bit, taking that one step every day. And that's what I do, making my positivity post about positivity and gratitude every morning.